Did you know that your environment can actually have either a negative or positive impact on your weight loss journey? No, no, nor did I. But we are about to teach you exactly how little things in your environment, whether that be at home or at work, can really make all of the difference. Welcome to our podcast, Fuck the Diet Cycle, with myself, Lauren Knight, and Abby Lodge. This is for you if you want to cut through the diet industry bullshit and finally end that cycle. Grab yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's dive straight in, shall we? So, starting with our home life, Abby, what kind of things did you change around the house to help you with your weight loss journey?
So for me, I was a serial snacker and I have children. So they also, kids are always hungry. And at that point in my, before I started, I had my snack cupboard it was just accessible to everybody, but it had everything in it. So every time I opened that cupboard to get something more useful than a snack, these snacks would be in my face, kind of screaming at me, jumping at me to be like, eat me, eat me. And because I had to go to that cupboard a lot, I had to move that cupboard. I didn't have to move it to really, really high up, but I had to move it to not such a high traffic cupboard of having everything in it, so that every time I opened that cupboard, it wasn't, I didn't need to go to that cupboard for something else. I kind of had this cupboard where it had everything in it, so I had to move that cupboard so that I was able to do it. And also something else that I had to change was moving the table from in front of the TV to then actually out of view of the TV, because I didn't actually realize how much time, not even time, but how much we spent. I didn't really acknowledge what I was eating or whatever, because I was so fixated on watching whatever was going on the TV, that I would finish my meal and still think that I'm absolutely ravenous because I've not actually sat and acknowledged what I'm eating. So moving my environment around so that the TV wasn't in like full view whilst I was eating was something that really, really helped for me.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Another one to do is the fridge. The
Oh,
fridge freezer, right? We're in the fridge a lot. Obviously, there's funny memes going around where you just open the fridge every time you're bored and all of that. But it's true. If you've got things that trigger you or things in there that you find really difficult not to avoid eating, they need to be moved in the shelf. So for me, if I was to open my fridge, I've got one of the tall fridges. If I was to open my fridge, I made sure that if I was using certain salads or yogurts, they're in my eye line. So everything else was moved about the fridge. As long as on that shelf that was directly in my eye line was the things that I was going to be eating, I found that really comforting rather than seeing straight away, well, I can't have that or I don't want that. That doesn't fit with what I'm doing right now. That really put me off. So I just rearranged my fridge. And something that one of my clients has done, which I think is fantastic, she's on step two. So she's doing some meal replacement, some conventional food. She went out and she purchased meat, fish, vegetables, everything that she wanted for her dinners. And she's designated an entire drawer in her freezer. So she
uh,
knows that as soon as she opens that drawer, anything in there she can pick from. It works with what program she's doing right now. Obviously, this isn't forever. This is just what she's doing right now. And she knows that that's her safe drawer. And it's really worked for her and it's made her feel really happy that she gets to organize that and it's just hers and the kids obviously stay out of that and whatever. Another thing is the biscuit tin beside the kettle.
needs to move.
It's
Yep.
got to go. So for me, I'm a biscuit dunker. And I'm pleased to tell you all that in maintenance, you are able to dunk your biscuits. The difference between dunking my biscuits now to dunking my biscuits at 16 stone free is that I don't dunk 24 biscuits. I only need to dunk one or two. And I don't have to do that every single time I make a cup of tea. if I really want it, I'll take the biscuits, I'll go and sit down, I'll dunk my biscuits and enjoy my tea. Before, I would dunk my biscuits before I've even put the milk into my tea, because I was
Yes.
standing there like, how many biscuits can I get in before I need to go to the front room, especially if James was home, because I would take in like a stack of 8, which is bad enough in itself, but I'd already ate 8 and he
Yeah.
just thought I only had 8.
Yeah.
So it's now, if you are unable to make a cup of tea without being triggered to eat a biscuit because the tin is there, put the tin in the cupboard. So if other people in your family still want to eat the biscuits, that's fine, but they now know it's in the cupboard. And if you want to have a biscuit, that's also okay, but it's not, you're not going to take a biscuit just for the sake of it, because you know what it's like, you see food, you want it,
Yes.
especially whilst you're building up your control. If you can't see it, you don't know it's there, move the biscuit tin.
Out of sight, out of mind, every single time. And that's exactly what I had to do with that snacks, because I was going in that cupboard so much for other stuff. Well, it's there. I have to have it. And it's like that experiment about like salivating, isn't it? Like the dog salivating every time they hear a bell. Like it's just the association that you have with a certain thing. So if there are things around your home that you have an association with food, they've got to change. They have got to change. And that's not like you have to rearrange your whole home and, whatever, lock all the cupboards, but just kind of, because a lot of these things that we do, like the biscuits, like the snacks, like constantly opening the fridge because you're bored, are it's your brain is doing it on oh my life, my teeth. You're doing it on an autopilot response. So you're not actually you are doing it, but you're not aware that you're doing it. But like if you're driving to work or you do a journey certain amount of times, you might get there and think, well, how did I get there? Like, because you just gone on to autopilot. So a lot of these things you're doing around your home are an autopilot response. So by moving certain things and taking the trigger away or moving it, it's not, there's more thought that has to go into it. So your brain isn't likely to go onto an autopilot response so quickly and enable you to change those habits.
Yeah. And it can work the other way round as well. So, for example, if you are wanting to introduce more fruit into your lifestyle, but you tend to opt to grab the chocolate bar, if you put your fruit either in your fruit bowl accessible, so let's go back to the biscuit tin, moving the biscuit tin away and actually replacing it with a fruit bowl, the chances are you're going to grab that piece of fruit because you're seeing it, it's accessible. If you are putting it in a drawer at the bottom of your fridge and you can't see it, I guarantee that fruit's going to go out of date and moldy.
It doesn't see
Because
the light of day.
yeah, it's just you know it's there, but it's not in your eye line, so you forget about it. So if you're consciously trying to eat more of a certain food, again, make sure that it's accessible and in your view. Okay, so that's around the home. Oh, actually, one more thing, and you did this as well, your utensils and your plates. So most of us have huge dinner plates, huge bowls, and they're normally on show in your plate cupboard, whatever. You will hear from me and Abby so much, even in maintenance, we both still eat. I eat off of a side plate, Abby eats off of a plastic kids plate, but
it works for me, all right?
It works for you. It's really, really important that you understand your portion size. And if you dish up your new portion size on your normal big dinner plate or in your normal big bowls, you're instantly going to look at that and go, where's the rest? So you're going to tell yourself that you're hungry, even though you're not. We challenge you to go and find a smaller plate, a smaller bowl, a knife and fork that is actually smaller, so you have to take smaller bite sizes, whether that be a child's plate like Abby loves, a Barbie one, or just a side plate or a smaller bowl. It really makes a difference. So if you're going to take anything from this podcast, make that be your priority from day one.
Absolutely. And do you know what? You saying about the bowls and the plates and stuff, because you do it from like, you know, when you start, it just becomes something that you don't even think is something that you've changed. Like, you just reminded me that I changed that, and obviously I did, because I still eat off of it, but because it's part of my new lifestyle, I don't think weird of it, or you know, something significant, but it makes all of the difference. The amount of times that I used to fill up a damn plate because I didn't want to see any china. I want, you know, it's got to be covered. And now, no, I'm happy with that, and I'm satisfied. Not absolutely rolling around in pain because I've eaten so much rubbish.
Yeah. So now changes at work. So obviously changes at work is a little bit harder to put in place, especially if you are like in a communal office space, or you're car sharing, or you're in a supermarket or a factory or something like that. However, it doesn't mean that changes can't be had. We just have to think outside the box. So I'm going to let you into a little secret. When I used to work in the office, I obviously had my own desk, right? Now, on my desk, you had under desk drawers. The top one had like little filing bits where I'd be all organized and I had my stationery up there. The bottom drawer, which was a deep, very deep drawer, was supposed to be for, well, I don't know what, but for me, it was full of personal that I weren't sharing with no one, snacks. And by that, I'm talking about full-size chocolate bars, crisps, biscuits, you name it, it was in that drawer. Like, I made sure that every single week with my shopping, my snack drawer at the office was filled up. I ate through that on my own. Like, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say it now, but at the time I didn't think anything of it. That got me through the day. That was my coping mechanism to get through the shit job that I hated. When I was stressed, I'd grab something out my drawer. When I was bored, I went to the drawer. Like, it was like I was living in that office just to munch through the drawer, a bit like the hungry caterpillar. That was me. So if you have a snack drawer like me, whether you want to admit it or not, I'm pretty sure more than me in that office had a snack drawer. Get rid of it.
Let's
get rid of it. Even if you don't put anything else in there, get rid of it. And it feels liberating. When I no longer had to rely on those snacks, it was like I was having a bit of a clear out. It's like, oh my God, this is the start of my new life. I'm no longer getting through the day just based on those snacks. So that's the first thing you can definitely do without it impacting anyone else. Sort out the snack drawer. And if you haven't got one at your desk, but you know that you've got a basket or something in the communal cupboard, get rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lot of people, when they're at work, if it impacts other people, they feel a bit, you know, rude or whatever. But even things like, if you have a communal table or whatever it is, and your desk is near it or whatever, and you have to walk past it, simply rerouting yourself or asking if you can move desks or whatever, so that you haven't physically got to get up and walk past it, it's going to be something that's going to really, really help you. Because if you, again, you know it, if you know it's there and you see it, you're going to want it. And I actually had a client who, in her office, they kept it all, like, their tables were almost like big squares, and they just had it all in the middle. So there was like 4 people on this desk and everything in the middle. And she was really, really struggling with it. And she was like, I can't say anything. And I was like, you absolutely can say something. You're not saying that they can't have anything. You're just simply asking, could we possibly move this so that it's out of my eye line? You know, I'm not stopping you, but I'm working on myself, and it would be, really helpful. She did, and they were absolutely fine. It got moved. Yeah. And subsequently.
And chances are they're not the only person that actually doesn't want it there.
Yes.
You're not the only person on a weight loss journey, or you're not the only person struggling with a food addiction, but it takes one person to voice up.
Stand up. Yeah.
And say, actually, do you know what? This isn't working for me. I don't want to stop you guys, but, can we just move it? And if it physically can't be moved, I would be inclined to put a plant on my desk.
Yeah, or something
like
to
something to distract my eye line so I couldn't just see it. Now, when I worked up London when I was a little bit younger, we got a contract with Lindor. Like,
mm,
okay, my dream at the time. I remember to this day, we got delivered, I kid you not, this massive box of lint bunnies because it was around Easter. And I was like, oh, they'll just give out one each and be done with it. No, I'm not joking when I say that there was enough chocolate there to feed the 5,000.
oh,
So what did they do? Every single day, they opened up these, like a certain amount of these bunnies, smashed them up a little bit, and left them on a communal table. So they were not only open, but they were in bite-sized pieces. So what was I telling myself? I'm only taking a little bit. I'm only taking a little bit. By the time the week had gone, I must have ate at least 5 of the bunnies because I was taking it in little chunks at a time. I know that a lot of offices do that, or staff rooms, especially particularly teacher staff rooms or nurses' offices. They put out like open biscuits or donuts, and you just
yeah,
go by and you get one. And then you come back and you pick up another one. So how I would get around that now is choose sugar-free chewing gum.
yeah,
If I couldn't take any other route, because let's face it, not all offices are big.
yeah,
Choose sugar-free chewing gum because that is just mindless eating. You're literally not even thinking about it. You're walking and eating and not thinking, and it's just empty calories. So choose sugar-free chewing gum, or ask for it to be put into the communal kitchen or something like that if you can.
yeah, absolutely. But again, it's about having that. It's almost like having that self-respect for yourself and valuing yourself enough to be able to speak up and say, please, can we do whatever in order to help yourself? And that's not selfish. That's actually coming from a place of self-love and you know, how much you value yourself.
And I think when you come across in that way, people see that as actually, do you know what? Let's help them.
Yeah.
Let's help them. You're not turning around saying, right, everybody, everyone's on a sugar ban. No one's
No.
allowed snacks. It's not about that. It's just a case of, can I just move it out of my eye line? Or can we just shift that table over there a little bit? Or next time because another one that comes up a lot in the office is when they bring around the teas and the biscuits and the snacks that they've bought, can you just opt me out? I don't think it's rude. Just literally don't ask me, because when you ask me, it makes me feel like I need to,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
plants that seed and it plays on my brain. So until I tell you otherwise, please just say we don't need to ask Lauren, or we don't need to go up to Abby. And I would feel so much better about that, because also from their perspective, they don't want to leave you out because
No.
then they feel rude. But if they're just given that green light to say, oh, no, like they've given us permission not to include them, they won't feel bad about it. Then you won't be triggered, the seed won't be planted, and it can all be like nice. What about if they have a CAF on site? So big offices, teachers with free meals, like dinner meals. Like, what would you say?
Don't go in the caf. No.
Yeah, but it is that to start with.
So yes, as brutal as that sounds, don't go in the caf. There are other things that you can do. So don't rely on this caf to feed you. Take your sandwiches, take your salad, you know, being prepared. It's going back to that whole thing of looking at your lifestyle and thinking, I'm there tomorrow. I need to take something for my lunch so that I don't have to go in there. Or you know, if it's nice weather as well, who wants to be sitting in a caf? Say to your workmates, whatever, can we go sit outside? So again, you don't have to go near nor by that caf so that you aren't tempted. And one for me, when I used to work somewhere with a caf, was don't take any money.
Yeah.
Don't. And I know that's hard, especially in this day and age, because we all have like Apple Pay and stuff, but not physically having the means to get something can be really, really helpful.
Yeah, and I think as well, for a few of my clients, they've been offered like free meals with their
Yeah.
work. So we incorporated that into their plans. We spoke about that, but none of them actually have it anymore. And again, it was having that choice. We're not sitting here saying to you that you can't eat in the calf. What we're saying to you is if the calf triggers you to then go on and eat XYZ that you wasn't planning on doing, then we need to treat the calf as the trigger. So for two of my clients in particular, they were getting meals cooked for them, but they realized they was really greasy. They didn't actually like the taste of it. They wasn't enjoying the meals. And they was like, actually, even though it's free, we're not enjoying it anyway. And you're trying to teach us that we can have food no matter what, as long as we enjoy it. I'm just eating for the sake of it because it's free. Having those moments of realization is empowering. So stop telling yourself, I can't have it. This isn't working for me. It's not about that. It's, I don't want it, and therefore I'm choosing not to have it.
Yeah. And am I enjoying this? Like you say, a lot of calf food is deep fat fried, full of grease, and 9 times out of 10, you walk in there and the first thing that you see is donuts or cakes.
Yeah.
So again, just because it's free, you don't have to have something because it is free.
So we challenge you to go and have a look at your environment, home, work, car. But that's another thing, a car. If you've got things hiding in your glove box, get it out. We've been there. We see you.
Replace it with like high protein snacks or whatever, because you know, if some people do commute or they spend hours in the car and you know there's traffic or whatever, taking out those sweets, replacing it with, you know, something, a high protein bar or something, nuts or whatever, that's actually going to satisfy you and keep you going for longer. Because let's face it, we've all been there, we've been stuck in traffic, sweets get opened, you start moving again, you feel absolutely terrible because you're that sugar rush and now you're crashing down. You need to stop and get something else. So actually having food that's going to satisfy you and keep you going.
Yeah, and fuel you. So the amount of people in the past that have said to me, I had to buy that at a service station because I still had 3 hours left of my journey. Cut the bullshit. You chose it because you saw it. Like, fuel stations are not stupid. When you're lining up to pay, you're surrounded by chocolate and sweets, and it's impulse buying. They guarantee that 90% of people are going to impulse buy those sweets and chocolate. It will not get you through for the next 3 hours because, like Abby just said, you'll get that spike and then you'll get the crash. And what will happen? You'll feel tired, lethargic, and you'll start panicking that you need it. So what will you do? You'll stop at the next service station and you'll do it again. Whereas if you just had that protein to keep you going, you're going to feel so much better for it. So stop giving yourself bullshit stories to try and get you through, and start actually understanding how your body works. Go and change your environment. Let us know what you're going to put in place. And if you've thought of something that we haven't covered, let us know, because we'd just love to know what you're up to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for listening. If you loved it, don't forget to press that subscribe button and the little bell so that you never miss a future episode. We will be back here with a new one on Sunday at 7 a.m. We'll see you there.